COD fans, what's up? Welcome back. IHOLDSHIFT with you guys for the recap of CDL Atlanta homestand. This one on day 2, it should have been shorter because there was only 5 games compared to 8 from Saturday to Sunday, but most of all of them, with the exception of one, would go to game 5. It was a very good day, and I recommend if you're looking to catch up on the action that you go back and you rewatch a number, if not all, of these series. Let's dig in and give you guys the full recap and reactions, though. We'll start off where our broadcast coverage starts, which is in Group B with Minnesota going up against Paris. Again, both of our losers bracket games were qualifiers to get to the playoff bracket, and they were also both rematches from a round 1 game. So would Paris be able to turn things around for Minnesota, where again they were 3-1 yesterday? We'd start things off on Gunrunner for the hard point, and Minnesota just flat out came out hot, heavily outslaying the first rotation, everyone going positive. Kismet on the other side, you feel like he needed to have a big start just to make sure that Paris is on the right foot. He would go 12-34 in the 250-152 loss, Minnesota up 1 map. Going to Petro up next for our search and destroy. This is a repeat where, again, it went back and forth the first time these two teams played on this map, and then Minnesota started to run away, and they won 6-2, I believe. This one would be a little bit different because Luca had an absolutely incredible map, whereas Alex yesterday had a great map previously on Petro, Search and Destroy, would not have a good showcasing here. So almost like roles were a little bit reversed between the two of them. Paris would be able to take that 6-3. Then we'd go to the Petro domination. Again, Minnesota was lucky enough to get the Hackney Yard the first time these two played. Now I had a feeling like, okay, there's no way they're going to let them go back to Hackney. There's no way Minnesota's going to let Paris get onto Gunrunner. It's likely going to be a Petro, and it was. And it was a double AR start for Paris from the C side of the map, just trying to hold on to that line, make sure they never lose the C flag. That strategy would not work. It got flipped. Luca went 4-8 trying to go that double AR from the A side of the map, and then Luca would swap to the MP5 in the second half and do a lot better. It would not be enough for them to fully come back into this one. 156-133, Minnesota take the lead in the series. Could they close it out? It would be a Zero cave for the next hard point. Incredibly close game all the way through. Great setups really from both teams. Great rotations back and forth for both squads. But there was a weird moment when Minnesota on P4 in the Western Cave pulled out 4 ARs, which was strange to me, and it didn't really work out for them whatsoever, and that would essentially be the difference maker in the game. Paris would take a slight lead, then going into the third rotation of hills, Minnesota hard panic to try to get the hills instead of playing them for the rotations and the spawns, and Paris is able to close things out in a nail-biter 250-233, and then we go to a map 5, Gunrunner. You felt like Paris right back in the mix. Not on a Seams watch. He would go 9-2 through 4 rounds. More than 4 of the Paris members combined. Minnesota runs away with this one quite literally 6-0 to get their spot into the playoff bracket. Now going into our next one and be going over to Group A, London would rematch here against Florida. And again, Florida did not look terribly great against London the last time around, with maybe the exception of a couple hardpoint moments and specifically the domination. Well, here, again, my big key to success for Florida is if they run more double AR, they'll be more successful. It was a very good start for them. Skies had an incredible day-to-day period, let alone in this one. Mox, as soon as things started to move a little bit faster, would swap to the MP5. It was a great start for Florida and specifically Pristini. Doesn't help, though, when Frosty was going -10, you thought that it might be a chance, but not going to be there. 154-250, Florida able to take the first map. You feel pretty good about this now all of a sudden going into it, but this Florida team has been a little bit all over the place when it comes to their search and destroy. It would go to Arkloff Peak. The Royal Ravens finding a ton of clutch defensive holds against the initial attempts of Florida. This was, again, where things got a little wonky for them last time that they played up on this map. Pristini would have a great map, but Frosty, again, would be 0-7 in the 6-1 loss. London ties it up 1 map apiece. Back to Petro. Domination. Has London learned from their mistakes from yesterday? Double AR setup for Florida again. They swapped this yesterday and against this squad and started to pick up a little bit of steam. It was just a little bit too late before they could finally make up the differential. Mox would find his success, swap off, it would go 6-8, a solid half for Florida overall. London had a chance to battle back, but it just would not be enough as we'd get to one final attempt where London was looking for a second flag. Instead of all committing to one flag, Dylan kept going for an A neutralization. It cost London some mid control of C and B. Florida able to swap the B flag. And that would be essentially what loses them the map, 151-146. Going to Hackney Yard now for the hard point. Everyone from Florida was above 20 kills by the end of this one. Double AR seemed to be working for them. But there was a much more better approach to manipulating the map and the pacing of the game from London. They were just quicker on rotations, a little bit of figuring out to do when it comes to Florida on hardpoint. How do you get these ARs moving quickly? They take this one 250-171, which sends us to another game 5. And this one would be, again, Skies playing out of his mind completely. Pristini would have a very good time as well here, dominating the mid-map control from Boiler into Bathrooms with the SMG. 6-3 would be the win, and Florida get the revenge on London and move their way in to the playoff bracket. Now, going into the playoff bracket, in Atlanta and Chicago were awaiting the opponents that come out of the bottom side of the losers bracket, so Atlanta would play up against Minnesota first. And again, a lot of people have been sitting here saying that, yeah, this Minnesota team, I don't know if they really deserve to be in this kind of position, and I don't really understand it because they've been looking very, very good. The first hard point would be Hackney Yard. ATL SMG line was extremely hot out the gate, considering that both Silly and Asim had awful starts, but GodRx and Assault would just not let any rotations go. And with that, Minnesota, a little bit easier rotating around the mid-map, would take the map 1, 250-211. Okay, we see you, Minnesota. Everyone's eyes have opened up a little bit, thinking that they were just going to sleep through and let Atlanta take the 3-0, but not the case. Piccadilly Search and Destroy up next. Simp not hitting opening snipes, and Minnesota would just turn that into map positioning from them. And GodRx able to keep Major Maniac quiet was a very big statistic as well. The last time we saw Atlanta here, Major Maniac was insane. Not the case here on this one, 6-2 Minnesota. And you could kind of feel the entire arena was starting to get a little nervous. We'd go to the domination on Hackney Yard. Again, we know Minnesota has played this already this weekend. They look pretty decent there. Would they have a chance to go up against the juggernaut of Atlanta? It got close right near the end, but the lead was just too far gone for ATL, who again just controlled the map position that they wanted more often, able to get those power positions up the middle of the map and make sure they were shutting down rotations from Minnesota, who weren't quite able to bounce back. 169-140. Hard point, Gunrunner. An extremely fast point, hard point. Asim, Alex running all over the place. Of course, the Tiny Terror's doing the exact same thing, and there's good support from Beyond. Really, this one came down to single breaks at clutch moments, rotations that'll let Atlanta get themselves set up a little bit earlier than Minnesota, forcing Minnesota Rocker to play from behind just a touch more than they would have liked. 250-205 going into map 5. Would this be a reverse sweep? It would have to be Gunrunner for the search and destroy, and a Beezy. I know on my draft buff video I said sit the guy. If you didn't and you said shift, you're dumb. You were the right ones, because he had an incredible weekend, and I will never doubt Abizi again in what I thought was going to be a very heavy AR meta coming in. Silly would be able to do a lot, but not quite enough, as ATL was just able to win a number of clutch gunfights, taking this one in round 10, 6-4, to get themselves into the grand finals. But who would they play up against? Florida would play up against Chicago. Everyone's sitting here saying there's no chance this Florida team beats Chicago. There's just no way. Chicago is such a solid team. The roster has been nuts. But Chicago has not been playing very well this weekend. A couple of miscues here or there, and that would not be uncommon to what we saw in our first hardpoint in Azure Cave. A very sloppy, slow start for Chicago, but they would start to rally on back and play the map correctly, which was more than Minnesota could do at the very end. Pristini, again, just a couple little bit over-aggressive challenges that would punish him, but this would go to a 13th hardpoint. First time we've seen that in Modern Warfare, where Chicago, again, just a touch better. A thrilling first hard point all in all, as Chicago wins at 250-241. Arklov Peak, next up for the search. Chicago has been good here, but Florida has been well practiced here when it came to this weekend specifically, and they would go without the sniper rifle, which we've seen a couple times this weekend, opting for a more fast-paced setup. RCDs would be scoping instead of formal in this one and was not quite able to hang with how fast Florida wanted to play early, but there were some great adaptations late, allowing Chicago to bounce back and take a 2-0 lead, and now everyone's sitting here saying, okay, Chicago shouldn't be a problem here. But we're going to St. Petro domination. Florida has played, I don't think, anything but St. Petro dom this weekend, and they have really figured it out. Look, simple fact of the matter is, the double AR works for them. Skies, when he knows he can just lock down one alley, not have to worry about multiple angles, he dominates, and he absolutely did. Mox would go back and forth between the MP5 and the MP4 and the M4, depending on what was most available. Pristini was working wonders across the map. 167, 121 for Florida. Hackney Yard hardpoint. Really, it would be a very relative back and forth map, but the only problem was there were just so many clean wipes from Florida on clutch moments those little moments where it was 40 seconds left, it could go either way. Florida able to get a break and then wipe afterwards, securing themselves a rotation for the New Hills, gave them much more of advantage, and everybody on Florida would end with a positive KD because of it. Good team participation. Map 4, 250, 186 Florida. Let's go to round map number 5, and it's going to be a gun runner for the search and destroy. Should feel a little bit familiar here for Florida. They've played here a number of times before. Would they be able to beat Chicago here, though, is the real question. And honestly speaking, Chicago just looked a little bit terrified, a little bit nervous, to be completely candid. And that would be all that needed to be done. Mox and Havoc had a tough go of it, really. But at the end of the day, everyone else played extremely well. And that was all that was needed. Search and destroy map 5. It would be a reverse sweep for Florida, 6-2, leaving us with Atlanta and Florida for the grand finals. I don't think there was a single soul who would have predicted this at the beginning of the weekend, and especially after yesterday, Florida just looked a little bit lost as far as what they wanted to do. So the fact that they're able to come through and beat a really solid team in their losers bracket game, and then again they're able to beat Chicago, all right, here we go. Let's see what they have against Atlanta. Well, it would not start well. It was Petro for the first hard point. ATL outpacing, outslaying, out-rotating, out-positioning Florida all the way through. A number of just pristinely clean breaks. 250, 138, no problem. Gunrunner, though, again, Florida just came off this map. Had to feel pretty good about what they had to offer here. Priesta had a great round of search and destroy, but it was a beezy with tons of first bloods. And that would just provide way too much of an edge for Florida to really fully battle up against. Not getting those first bloods, again, I don't have this full statistic, but first blood, the success rate when it comes to a round has to be pretty high right now. And that would be the case here for Atlanta, 6-4. We'd go back to guess it for domination. It was Petro. No one was surprised. Skies looked incredible again. Pristini played so well all the way through. The first half was a great one for Florida as they spawned on the A side and held the AB hold for such a long period of time. The problem was once Atlanta figured out that, hey, we're playing a little bit too passively on the backside of C, we need to get a little bit more aggressive. Florida couldn't bounce back from spawning out in the apartment, and Atlanta had a couple of different full dominations where Florida was not able to break in to find an A or a C flag. And with that, it would come down to those huge triple caps that would play the dividend. And then at the very end, a couple of nice little sneaky pullaways for Atlanta to get a double cap to finish the game. 148-136. Atlanta, your champions at the homestand. The crowd was much more lively today, so big props out here. Again, I'm in Atlanta, in case you missed the first video. It was a lot of fun, had a blast. Hope you guys enjoyed that. But I do want to spend one more moment here to go through what our standings look like now after this weekend has completed. Still up top are the Chicago Huntsmen at 90 total points. Again, there was a reminder, 10 points per win. If you win a homestand, you get a bonus 10, so 50 points total if you win a homestand, even though you play the 4 games. For Atlanta FaZe, again, they are at 70 points, but they are a technical weekend behind Chicago as far as how many times they've played so far. So take from that what you will. Third will be Paris Legion at 50, a long 3-way tie at 40 between the Mutineers, the Rocker, and the Royal Ravens. And then you've got Dallas Empire sitting at 30 points. 4 teams there at 10, between the Gorillas, the Subliners, the Surge, and the Ultra. And then Optic Gaming LA still without a series win and really not many map wins to talk about yet going into the season. That's going to do it for the recap. Coming up later this week for you guys, I will be doing a compilation of the top plays for the weekend, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I also will be hopefully getting a recording of the grand finals from the Challengers season that happened in Atlanta. We're going to be doing hopefully a full production for that, so make sure you stay tuned to my Twitter at IHOLDSHIFT to know what's going to happen with that broadcast. And we'll be doing a lot more things throughout the week before I go to Dallas for the $15,000 event with the Shoney Esports this upcoming weekend. Very busy, busy, busy. Let me know what you think as far as power rankings go as well, because that's going to be spicy. That'll also be coming out for this week for you guys. And until the next video, hope you guys all keep holding it down. Later. Bye-bye.